You guys, I think it's safe to say without a doubt up until this point that the 2021 NBA season has been a roller coaster ride thus far. We have a lot of teams across the entire NBA doing much worse than we expected in the preseason, and along with this, we also have a lot of quote-unquote shocker teams that are doing much better than almost anyone could have imagined. And I'm sure most of you guys know by now, but one of the teams in this category that somehow continues to win night in and night out is none other than the Philadelphia 76ers, who, regardless of how many roadblocks get thrown in their way, continue to weather the storm and stay atop of the Eastern Conference. And you know, there's a lot to dissect about this Sixers team and how they have been able to do this, especially with this team having one of the craziest offseason debacles that we have seen in a very long time, and this is what we are going to be getting into in today's video. One sec, if you haven't yet, don't forget to like the video if you do enjoy, subscribe, and turn on those noties to never miss another NBA video. Love you guys. And I'm telling you guys, if you haven't yet, you really need to hit this button, because according to the numbers, around 97% of you guys coming back to watch the content haven't even subscribed yet. So if you could, believe me, I would appreciate it more than anything, so thank you. But anyway, let's get back on topic with the Philadelphia 76ers. Because again, I think it's safe to say that the Sixers had the most question marks around their team going into this season, especially when you consider contenders. And this, of course, was for obvious reasons, having to do with the man by the name of Ben Simmons. But long story short, as the Sixers were not able to find a trade that suited their needs over the course of the entire offseason, and along with this, the eventual news break that Ben Simmons would essentially not play NBA basketball until he was traded. I'm not going to say people weren't expecting much from Philly, but there was definitely uncertainty as to what they would do until this issue was resolved. And how they seemed to respond to this was honestly the complete opposite of what almost anyone was expecting. As when I'm recording this video, the Sixers currently have an 8-3 overall record and sit as the first seed in the Eastern Conference, and along with this, up to this point in the season, have the best offensive rating in the entire NBA, the best overall field goal percentage in the entire NBA, and also the best 3-point percentage in the entire NBA. So to put it as simply as I can, in almost every major aspect, the Sixers have the best offense across the entire league. And when you compare their first overall offensive rating so far this season after losing their star point guard to them having the 13th best offensive rating last year with Ben Simmons, this is quite a noticeable change to say the very least. I also wanted to mention that the Philadelphia 76ers started off this season with an 8-2 record 10 games into the year, which is the franchise's best 10-game start to a season since the 2000 to 2001 year, which for your reference was the last time the Sixers made it to the NBA Finals. So this wasn't just a great start to the season for Philly, but it was actually a historic start when you look at the numbers. Because in this 8-2 start to the year, there were actually only 3 different players on this Philadelphia 76ers team that played in every single game. And these 3 players, wait for it, were Georges Niang, Seth Curry, and Tyrese Maxey. These 3 were the only players to touch the court in every game of this historical start to the Philadelphia 76ers year. This is just the first point that proves, even with the Sixers running into frequent injuries and misfortunes so far throughout the year, that this team is working together like a well-oiled machine more than they ever have. If you don't believe me yet, let me just show you the craziest stat that I have seemed to find yet, and it is the fact that right now this Philadelphia 76ers team has 7 different players averaging in double digits. They have Joel Embiid putting up 21.5, Tobais racking in 20, Seth Curry putting up 17, Maxey 14, Korkmaz 13, Niang 12, and Shake Milton 11. To keep it straightforward, this is just ridiculous and unprecedented what we are seeing so far from this team. Because let's be real, when looking at this list, you would not expect every single player on this team to be putting up double digits for a contending team on a night in and night out basis. But the fact in itself that all of these players are on the same team is absolutely insane. And what's even better about this team is that they are seeing the success that they have achieved so far, even with Joel Embiid not having his best year up until this point. Yes, right now he is putting up around 21.5 points, 9.5 rebounds, and 4 assists per game, which is obviously not bad, but we have definitely seen better from him, and I think people were expecting him to do more as well, especially with Ben Simmons stepping out of the rotation. But I know for sure the Sixers are not complaining about any of the results that they have seen thus far. But if we want to talk about one man in particular that has stepped up big thus far this year for the Sixers in many different situations, it is Tyrese Maxey. Because Sixers fans know this better than anybody, that Tyrese Maxey has been stepping up to the plate when his name has been called time and time again, dating all the way back to last year. And even though his averages so far this year aren't anything crazy, as he's putting up around 14.5 points, 3.5 rebounds, and just under 5 assists per game, while also shooting 49% from the field and 37% from 3, this man has stepped up far more than the numbers speak to it. And also, when you compare these numbers to his rookie averages of 8 points, 2 rebounds, and 2 assists per game, it has definitely been quite the improvement that we have seen from him so far in his sophomore season. But it's definitely not just Tyrese Maxey, as this whole team in general has showed so much fight and grit so far into this 2022 season, as we've seen many different bench players not just have to jump into the starting rotation, but also step up to be the man when it matters. And one more thing I want to run by you guys that speaks to the fact of how much this team has changed from last year to this one is simply the Philadelphia 76ers overall pace of play. Because if you haven't noticed yet, it's very clear to the viewer's eye that the Sixers are that much better at running a half-court offense this year compared to last, because they don't necessarily need to outrun the teams they are playing to guarantee that they can get quick buckets and higher amount of possessions. And just for your reference of this, let's look back to last season where the Philadelphia 76ers averaged around 99.5 possessions per 48 minutes, which, just so you know, was the 11th fastest offense in the entire NBA. And then when you compare that to this year where the Philadelphia 76ers average only 95.2 possessions per 48 minutes, which is, believe it or not, 30th, yes, the slowest offense in the entire NBA so far this year. And with this, along with hearing how efficient this offense has been so far, it speaks more to the fact of how well this team is able to run an actual offense this season. And the stats also speak to this, as the Philadelphia 76ers currently have the #1 half-court efficiency in the entire NBA at 100.8. I know there's probably many people watching this video that don't think what the Philadelphia 76ers are doing right now is going to be sustainable throughout the entire year, but if you've watched this team at all so far and have seen the obstacles they have had to overcome time and time again, I think you can agree with myself when I say this Sixers team is going to continue to do a lot of surprising as the year goes on. Who knows though, you guys, time will only tell. That is just my 2 cents. But after going through everything we've noticed from this Philadelphia 76ers team so far into the season, I'm now curious to hear what you guys have to say. So please let me know in the comments what you think the Sixers record is going to be at the end of the 2022 season. On top of this, a projected seed that you have them finishing at in the Eastern Conference when it's all said and done. I really feel like there is going to be answers all over the place with these questions, but that is only going to make this comment section that much more enticing to read. But also guys, if you haven't yet, don't forget to go down below and leave a like on the video if you did enjoy, and subscribe while you're down there. I really can't say it enough, you guys. We're coming out with brand new NBA content around here on a daily basis. Trust me, you don't want to miss what we got coming forward. But on that note, and as always, I just want to say thank you so much to each and every one of you for watching. I appreciate all of you more than anything in the entire world. You all know this, and I will see you guys in the next video.